Hey, what's up everybody? It's the Monster here again, and I decided to do another little comic book related thing. It's been a while since I've done anything remotely comic book related, so I figured I would give my personal opinion on one of my absolute favorite comic book storylines ever made, Spider-Man Maximum Carnage. Ah yes, Spider-Man. The amazing, spectacular, incredible, sensational, whatever you want to call him. You can't forget about everybody's favorite web-swinging, smart-mouthed webhead. And to be honest, Peter Parker's gone through a lot of tough times in his life. You know, apart from his girlfriend being murdered by the Green Goblin, the fact that he was cloned, and the fact that his best friend Harry Osborn was murdered. He's gone through a lot of tough shit, but not quite as bad as the stuff that he went through in this story. Now, to sort of give you an idea of why this is such a great story, because in the 90s, Marvel was really kind of struggling as far as the quality of their books. See, comic books in the 90s had become extremely popular, what with the likes of Jim Lee's X-Men and previously Todd McFarlane's artwork on Spider-Man, both of which had been selling like there was no tomorrow. Those comics sold immensely, and it piled on an enormous stack of money that Marvel had never even seen before. So because Marvel had become so rich, then they started making less good stories. And because of that ended up with them going bankrupt. However, most people think that the 90s was a bad age for Marvel. What with some really terrible stories like the Clone Saga and the Onslaught Saga and whatnot. However, there were a couple of really awesome stories that came out during that era. There was the X-Men, the Age of Apocalypse storyline. There was the Infinity War storyline. And then, of course, there's Spider-Man Maximum Carnage. Now, when I first read this story, I was expecting just a really fun, action-packed Spider-Man story. But what I got was something of a character study and like a deep analysis of all the good morals and sophisticated rules of right and wrong that we have. The basic plot of the story is that Cletus Cassidy, aka the supervillain Carnage, in case for all those who have been living under a rock, in case you've never heard of Carnage, he breaks out of prison, and then he teams up with a whole bunch of other supervillains. He teams up with Shriek. He dreams up with the Spider-Man doppelganger, which was created by the supervillain Magus in the Infinity War storyline, which came out about a year earlier. And he teams up with the evil, hellish Demo Goblin and Carrion. And in the meantime, Peter Parker, Spider-Man, he's going through kind of a rough time in his life. His best friend Harry Osborn recently died, and all of his friends and family were in tremendous grief over this. And on top of that, his actual parents, Richard and Mary Parker, were revealed to be alive and are actually living with his Aunt May. Now, for those of you who haven't been following the comics until this point, that may come off as a little confusing to you, but really that's only that's really the only tiny bit of backstory that you need to know. That Harry Osborn is killed and that Peter's parents are actually alive. Right, moving on. So, eventually, Carnage, as well as Shriek and Doppelganger and the rest of the supervillains, they go on a huge, murderous, bloodthirsty, inhuman rampage across New York City. They destroy buildings, they slaughter hundreds and hundreds of innocent people, and the only people who can stop them are Spider-Man, along with the combined efforts of Venom, Black Cat, Firestar, Morbius, Iron Fist, Captain America, Deathlock, and Nightwatch, who really only shows up for a little bit towards the end of the book. But anyways, it's these two huge teams of superheroes and supervillains just battling and beating the crap out of each other over a completely ruined and desolate New York. But the thing that's so genius about it is it goes so much deeper than that. It goes way deeper than your average superhero story. Because it goes so far as to question our perceptions of right and wrong, our morals of good and evil. Because Peter, who is, he's going through a whole bunch of stress right now. He's not even sure if he can take down Carnage this time. And he even starts to question, has my code of honor, has my code of right and wrong, does it really apply anymore to this inhuman, savage world that we live in now? And of course, Peter's good intentions are deteriorated even further by his own father, Richard, who basically says to him that, Peter, after suffering in that Soviet prison for so long, I realize that no matter how good or civilized or decent we try to act like, we're all evil and savage and cruel on the inside, no matter how much we try to deny it. Humanity is cruel. Humanity is evil. We're all evil. We're all truly bloodthirsty and just insane on the inside. We try to suppress our primeval caveman mentalities to not kill each other to survive by trying to be good, by trying to be something that we're not. I don't think that what Spider-Man and all these other people are doing it's doing any good, because